So the power of your story. What exactly is this a story? There's a lot of definitions of a story, but one of them is an account of past events in someone's life or in the development of something. Okay, before I tell you my story, let me introduce myself. My name is Rovin. I am the kuya of the kuyas, so that makes me kind of a tito, but I'm still in denial. So kuya of the kuyas pa rin ako. So for the youth, just remember that you still call me kuya. Before we get any deeper, more serious, I just want to ask, who has ever played Two Truths and a Lie? Hala, ang daming teenager. Where did you play that? Hala, lagot kayo. Don't worry, parents. This is completely clean most of the time. Anyway, so Two Truths and a Lie is usually an ice-breaking game where you gather in a group and then you make 3 statements that, two of them would be true and one of them would be a lie. So the object for the group is to find out which one is the lie. And I play this a couple of times and I have a go-to 3 statements. This is my 3, okay? Number 1, I did not know how to do division until I was 10. Okay? So that was grade 4. Then I realized, pwede pala 4 divided by 2 equals to 2. I didn't know that until I was 10. Number 2, I was chosen as prom king in secondary school. Yeah. See, it's a mix of, are you sure, to disgusted to, are you sure you went to secondary school? Yung mga reaction. But wait, it might be true or it might be a lie. And my favorite statement, Maybelline was my first girlfriend. Maybelline's my wife, by the way. The pretty girl earlier. My wife, Maybelline, was my first girlfriend. So if you think option 1 is the lie, you raise up 1 hand. If you think option 2 is a lie, you raise up 2 hands. If you think number 3 is a lie, you do Wakanda. All right? So 1, 2, 3. All right, think about it. Which one do you think is the lie? I'd like to see your answers in 3, 2, 1, go. Ayoko na. I went to secondary school. It's called Swiss Cottage Secondary School. There was more than 1 guy in the school. And somehow I did win prom king. Hindi ba obvious? Anyway, so this is not a lie either. I did not know division until I was 10. And the lie, actually, for those people who have known me, I've been together with Maybelline for so long, but she wasn't my first girlfriend. So Wakanda forever. She wasn't my first girlfriend, but she's my first love. Yeah. Yes, I like it when I'm here. I get to score a lot of points. Okay. I noticed also that a lot of people were taking videos of our speakers and also fiddling with your phones. So I need you guys to take out your smartphones. Do you have your smartphones? If you don't have your smartphone, it's okay. You're smart naman. Could you go to this website? So your goal is to select the lie. So, okay. We have 1 person in it already. 1 person lang. All right, we have 13 voting. We have 19, 21, 22, 23. So let's take a look. Don't worry about it popping. There's still people voting. So the first option, gets teary-eyed while sharing. So this person, this youth in a crowd, if you ask him or her, hey, how was your day? It's fine. They get very scared and very teary-eyed. Number 2 is this person has been a Christian for 4 years. And number 3 is the largest audience is 50. And we can see naman from here, a lot of you picked that this is the lie. And you think that these 2 points are true. Those people who picked that this is a lie are correct. But I want you to take a look. Gets teary-eyed while sharing and has been a Christian for 4 years. The reason why this is a lie is because this person has talked to more than 50 people. Even though, not just talked, has professed his or her beliefs in front of 50 or more. More than 50, I think more than 100. This person has been used, even though this person gets teary-eyed while sharing. Like extreme case of stage fright. Even in a group of 4, this person can get teary-eyed. And yet, he or she is being mightily used by God. It is because this person, and I believe, and I hope you will believe at the end of the sharing for today, that God can use your story for His glory, no matter your weaknesses. Sometimes, because of your weakness, God can use your story for His glory. Before I continue, I just want to take you guys to take note. For those people who went to menti.com, please stay there. We will still keep that until later. In the Bible, it's filled with stories, filled of character stories, full of character stories. And I had a hard time looking for a specific person. But I felt this person that I'm going to be talking about is very, very apt, very appropriate. So I'll introduce you to this guy named Saul. So Saul is elite. He is called the Jew of Jews and followed the customs of the religious people strictly. If he had an Instagram account right now, he would rival Kim Kardashian or something. He would have millions of followers because he'll be well known. He's an expert in his field, and he knows this. So this is him talking about himself. So circumcised on the 8th day of the people of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin. In other translations, they added of the elite tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, in regards to the law of Pharisee, which means he's an expert of the law. As for zeal, that means passion, persecuting the church. As for righteousness based on the law, I like his description of himself. He is flawless. Flawless. Malupit. Pet malu. He is flawless. But you know him. Not really. He might say that about himself. That's how he portrays himself, and that's his past. But he also has a very checkered history. Let's read. So in Acts 7:54-58, when the members of the Sanhedrin heard this, they were furious and gnashed their teeth at him. This person is Stephen. Stephen, the martyr, basically a backstory of Stephen. He got chosen to help out in the ministry, and then he spoke about God and Jesus and about how people rejected him. And the Sanhedrin and the members of the Sanhedrin are very, very angry with him. And they were picking up from here. They were furious and gnashed their teeth at him. But Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit, looked up to heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. He said, "Look," he said, "I see heaven open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God." At this, they covered their ears. This is the crowd around him, yelling at the top of their voices. They all rushed at him, dragged him out of the city, and began to stone him. Meanwhile, the witnesses laid their coats at the feet of a young man named Saul. So our perfect guy is not so perfect after all. Not only that, did he not only approve of such atrocities in his misguided direction, he still did this. He still continued. He was still breathing murderous thoughts against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest. He went to the chairman. "Chairman, can you give me permission to hunt down the Christians?" And he was on his way. That's Paul. So he murdered Christians. He went from place to place to hunt Christians down. That is Paul. That is his history. That is his story. He was one of the leaders of the mob. I just want to pause here for a while and just say that I know we're not murderers. That's for sure. But sometimes we are like Paul. I find myself like Paul. That I'm misguided and I'm doing the wrong things. I kind of know that. I heard a Stephen in my life A Stephen who told me that what I was doing was wrong, and instead of repenting, what I did was to pursue my wrongness even more, just like Paul. But I believe that you and I, even if we have a checkered past, that we can still be used by God. So let's review Saul a little bit. He was misguided and sinful. And I think we can relate to that at some point of our lives, and maybe even now, we are misguided and sinful. But Saul had an encounter. So this is a picture depicting him, with the light shining down on him being blinded. He was on his way to hunt Christians down, and he had an encounter. It was in Acts as well. So as he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" When I was a kid, I asked, who was the one talking? I'm so glad Saul asked the same thing. He said, "Who are you, Lord?" "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," he replied. "Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." So far, we're following. Saul was sinful. Saul was stubborn in his sin. And then he had an encounter. So the backstory is that God chose a man of God to go to go to Saul, help Saul out, and then this is the event. So the man of God already went to Saul, prayed over him, and immediately something like scales fell from Saul's eyes, and he could see again. He got up and was baptized, and after taking some food, he regained his strength. Paul spent several days with the disciples. Yes! That's like the success. So let's review. Misguided and sinful, had an encounter with God, he saw the error of his ways, and he got baptized. He was so changed that his name even changed from Saul to Paul. Like, it's crazy. Like, you baptize. Okay, you're now called Robert. But, you're no longer Robin. Okay, Robert ka na. You're a new guy, new person. You've changed. Yes! The end. Thank you very much. My name is Rovin. I'll see you. I like how everybody expected me not to end there. Because as you all know, Saul's story did not end there. Still a story, but it did not end there. Not at all. Think about it. Weren't we all, those people who have accepted Christ, weren't we all someone like Paul? We were sinning. We were lost and misguided. We encountered God some point along the line. We accepted Him. We got changed. We didn't change our name, but somehow we changed. But I'm guilty of that as well, that I let the story end. But I'm glad Paul did not end the story there. In fact, the very next verse, after he got baptized, baptism was in verse 19, and in verse 20, at once, kagad, ulit, immediately, at once he began to preach in the synagogues, at the churches, that Jesus is the Son of God. All those who heard him were astonished and asked, "Isn't he the man who raised havoc in Jerusalem among those who call on his name? And hasn't he come here to take them as prisoners to the chief priests?" Yet Paul grew more and more powerful, baffled the Jews living in Damascus, by proving that Jesus is the Messiah. Do you see how his story is being used? Everybody knew Paul. Everybody knows Rovin. At least his friends did. Saul had a change. He became Paul. He accepted God. He didn't just keep it to himself. He went out at once. He went out and preached and said, and shared. And everybody who knew his story were wondering, talaga? And then at the last paragraph, you see them astonished. They're baffled. Somebody like Saul, who was opposite of a Christian, who hunted a Christian, is now a Christian? Ask yourself, how many times have you been asked by your friends, "Hey, si Rovin, di ba ka..." I'm gonna reveal too much up here, so I'm not. Di ba kasama natin yan sa ginagawa na... okay, I realized I shouldn't speak too many Tagalog either because my youth are clueless na. Say it in Singlish, let's be fair. Not English, not Tagalog. That one Roy, right? How come he become so holy already? Ask him out. Check, test him. Sunday want to go out or not? I can't, bro. I'm going to church. But that time you say maybe can what? I cannot lah, not anymore. I've seen him. Don't bluff. It's because Maybelline is there, right? Then like, no. I really am a Christian now. Okay. But sooner or later, that same friends were baffled because the consistency of my life showed them. Because they know my story. And I'm sure each one of us has a story of our change. Who we were in the past and who we are now is a very, very powerful message to everyone. Because God can use your story, your individual story, for His glory. God can choose a Mark, God can choose a Kelsey, God can use Tita Bari, God can use a Pierce who's going to New Zealand. God can use everybody. Your story matters. Your story can be used for His glory. But you may ask yourself, I'm not Paul. I have flaws. I'm not a murderer. I've always been a good boy. Or you can say, Paul was different. Paul saw, he's just very strong and he's very opinionated. I'm not like you. I can't go around telling people my story. That's the beauty of the Bible. It's full of stories relating to each one of us. And the characters in those stories, they have flaws, including Paul. Even after he became Paul, after he got the encounter, after he has changed, that did not mean that it was smooth sailing for him. Some of us want to do it. After we became Christians, we were on fire. And then there's something bringing us down. There's something that's a thorn in our flesh. And then we lost sight of it. I know somehow at one point in my life, I did. I stepped back. You know what, God? I tried my best. But I'm too weak. I have flaws. I'm not Paul. Which is such a blessing. Because Paul is such a blessing because he did not shy away from his mistakes. So over here, Paul is talking about the challenges that he has. So even if I should boast, I would not be a fool because I would be speaking the truth. But I refrain so no one will think more of me than is warranted by what I do or say, or because of this surpassing great revelations. He's talking about the grace of God and the things that He has done. He's not going to boast about the people about the mission trips that he has gone. He's not going to boast about the skits that he has performed up on stage. Instead, he's going to boast about something else, and I'll let you know later. Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. After doing some research, this thorn in my flesh, a lot of smarter people were talking about it, and they were saying that it could be a physical ailment, it could be a speech impairment, it could be eyesight, it could be something. But this we know, that his life was not easy. His life of ministry was not easy. His life of proclaiming his story was not easy. And yet, he did not use this to stop himself. He used this to rely more on God. Let's see. But he said to me, this is God telling Paul, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. This is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. When I was a kid, that did not make sense. When I was a youth, that did not make sense. In our society today, you got to be loud, you got to be proud, you have to be strong, you have to be fast, or else you're not cool. But in God's topsy-turvy way, the weaker you are, the stronger you are. For the main thing, one main difference. Because if you have God, if you know you're weak, you can rely on God. It's a very simple analogy that just struck me, literally just struck me. My daughter Rebecca is 2 years old. She has no concept of weakness or strength or showing off. She has no concept of that yet. And last night when we came home, she went straight to the refrigerator and she wanted to reach the magnets up on the fridge. And she couldn't. And in her inability to reach the magnets, she turned to me. She said, Daddy, how did she say it? Daddy, cargo. She doesn't know karga. She always mixes up with carry, karga, and come. So she settled with cargo or something like that. Cargo, I want to see the magnets. And then I picked her up, and she was able to take the magnets. If we were to think about it in our lives, Lord, I cannot reach this person. I am not wise. I am not knowledgeable. I have no power. I have nothing. There's nothing that I can do. Papa, cargo. Pakarga nga. Could you please carry me? Because I'm too weak. But I know you're strong. And this, I think, is what Paul is driving at. We are weak, but we have somebody so much stronger than our imagination. And our stories could be the source of our weakness. Lord, my story is awful. It's not dramatic. Walang tears. I grew up, Lord. I cannot use my story. How? And God says, use me. Use me. Like Paul chose to boast on his story, his weakness. He did not hide that he was who he was once like. He boasted on the grace that he received, not on the works that he has done. And he boasted on his reliance on God. As a result, he was used mightily. He authored 13 out of 27 New Testament books. He was shipwrecked and suffered for God. He had the motivation to go through that, to persevere because he had God, and he eventually was martyred for God. Can you imagine this guy's story? Going around, hi, I'm Saul. I used to murder you, but now I'm one of you. Can you imagine telling your story to somebody? Hi, I'm Rovin. I used to do this. I used to do that. I know you're doing that currently. And I want to tell you my story. How my God changed me. There are numerous imperfect characters in the Bible whose stories were used. So fine, we're not Paul. You're not me. You are you. And somehow in the Bible, I don't know. I guess not. I don't know. It's probably because he's so full of wisdom that the Bible is full of characters that we can relate to. Joseph was young and foolish. He was lit, fam. He had this technicolor. I know we hate that thing. But he probably spoke like that. He had the technicolor code. He told his 11 brothers, yo guys, you're gonna kneel down. He told them again, and then he told his parents too. By the way, you too, you're gonna kneel down in front of me. He was young and foolish. How many of us has walked through this life? It's fine, I know everything. I know my students who are only primary 10 years old, who are confident about their ability. I know already. How many of us walk around our life like that? Or used to walk around like that? Your stories can be used as well. Jacob was a cheater. Peter was impulsive, and also, he did denied Christ 3 times. Gideon was insecure. He needed 2 tests, I think, 2 or 3. He hid. He was scared. He was frightened. Sarah was impatient. He even laughed at angels. Can you imagine an angel coming here? By the way, you will get a son. And then this person, for reals? No way. Okay, she doesn't sound like that, but she laughed. And then Moses stuttered. Can you imagine Moses? Let my people go. Moses stuttered, but he was still used. By the way, Lazarus was dead, and he was still used. So everybody's story, no matter big or small, alive or dead, can be used by God. Amen? Something's coming up. But first, I want to revise that person. That Mentimeter boy, the Mentimeter youth who's scared, who gets teary-eyed whenever he or she speaks in public, that this person has been a Christian for over 4 years, that the largest number of people he has spoken to is more than 50. I'll give you a clue as to who this person is. He is in this dark picture. I'm so sorry you cannot find it, but he's somewhere there. Okay, that's him. Whoa, look at that pogi. Oh. I'm so happy Pierce is here. So that's RR if you have noticed. That's RR, that is Pierce in his skinny days. He's somewhere there. This boy is me. I'm not Paul. I'm me. And I know when I was talking about crying in front of a crowd, some people, they thought, no, that's not true. But it is. I actually, the camp earlier, this picture? This picture was taken in the camp and I actually won an award. You know what's my award? The most touching speech award. Because every time I spoke, I cried. Napaka-touching daw. Even I cry. Even when it is very simple. Like, can you read me the verse? For God so loved the... That was me. I've been a Christian. I had been a Christian. I had been going to church for more than 4 years at that time. And my story, I know it's not human nature to boast, but I want to boast on my weakness. I talk here, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I try to be confident, I try to be engaging, I walk around, I tell you stuff, I do all sorts of strategies and all that, but truth be told, I am terrified. But Lord, cargo, I want to go where you want me to go. I have a story, and it's pretty long, but I can summarize it as this. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. But now I survive with God by my side. How many of us would love for our stories to be told? Okay, sorry about that first question. Can I change the question to this? How many of us has a story? How many of us think that God, the Almighty, the time maker, the person who parted the sea, can use our story for His glory? Who believes this? Great. Now I want you to take out your phones and go to Mentimeter for me. Because today is a chance for you to tell your story. As I invite the youth to show you their stories, I want you to look at each one of them. At the same time, think about your own stories. Have a think about your story. Who were you then? How are you now? You might not be the finished product, but it's fine. Everybody has a story to tell. Don't be ashamed of your story. You never know who's going to be listening. You never know who's going to be blessed.
In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender. You are breaking new ground. So I yield to you and to your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me a vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender. You are breaking new ground. You are breaking new ground.
It's okay.
Make me a vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom. The kingdom is here. I lay down my old flesh to carry on you far today.
For the 39 brave souls who put up something up here, we've all taken the step today together. We're here to tell our story, our God-given story. We ask God to make new wine out of us.
To carry on you